and welcome back to Retro Wrestling Games Presents. I'm your host, Alex G, and with me this evening, Luke Martin. How you doing tonight, Luke?
I am doing great.
All right, fantastic. I can dig it. On this episode, we're going to take a look at 3 Count Bout for the Neo motherfucking Geo. Now, 3 Count Bout was released in 1993, developed and published by SNK. It was in the arcade, and it was ported over to, I guess, the Neo Geo AES.
Why did they name it the Neo Geo? What is that supposed to mean? The new Geo? I don't get it.
Before we get into the game, I guess we have to talk about the Neo Geo MVS and the AES, which is the home version of this system. The Neo Geo was interesting as hell because I would go into my local Pizza Hut, right? That's where they had the Neo Geo machine, right? Go in there, get my Book It pizza, or get my Final Four basketball. That's the only times I would actually go to Pizza Hut because I live in New York and we have good pizza here. I did that book report, so I'm getting my free pizza. In the Pizza Hut that I went to, they had a Neo Geo machine. They had like 3 games. One of them being Metal Slug. I think it was probably Art of Fighting, and this game, 3 Count Bout. And I played them, and I thought graphically they looked fucking fantastic, and it was cool. But I guess it just didn't have the appeal that, say, the Capcom arcade games did, or the Konami arcade games. And the AES was so expensive. Like, it was ridiculous how expensive that was. Even as a kid, I was like, there's no way that I could get my parents to buy this. So I didn't even ask. You know, that's how expensive this console was. I think it was $600 when it came out.
I remember going into like an electronics store. So you remember they always used to set stuff up for you to like play, like Toys R Us. But it's never at Toys R Us because Toys R Us was like shit. No one's gonna buy this. So it'd always be at like a high-end electronics store. And you go in and play the Atari Jaguar, which was equally as expensive, but the games sucked. Like, at least the Neo Geo, which was stupid expensive, had really good games. So the idea, I guess, was like to bring the arcade home, except that Capcom figured out how to do it without making their own billion-dollar system. That's why we can play an SNK game on like Super Nintendo after Capcom was like, hey, we'll just release Street Fighter 2 on these systems. And then they made 1,000 times more money than... Who made the Neo Geo? Was it SNK that made the Neo Geo? It was SNK,
yeah. Everything was first party, so there was no third-party games, at least that I'm aware of. There was no third-party games Neo Geo, so you were going to get like your Maddens and a lot of those games that went cross-platform. You were just getting Neo Geo games, and that's it. And every single Neo Geo game is graphically like insane. Like, they're fucking fantastic. And when it got released for home console, it's running $599, and this is in the early '90s. The gold package was $649, which would have been $1,200 in today's money. So, that's very, very expensive. But I do enjoy a lot of the games. Like, I enjoy Metal Slug, and I like Samurai Showdown, and I like Art of Fighting, King of Fighters. Like, they're all fantastic. It was just too expensive to purchase, and to the point, like, I'm not even asking my parents. I'm like, I had a hard enough time getting a Sega CD. I can only imagine me like going to my father and asking for Neo Geo. They looked at me like I was nuts. But 3 Count Bout is a wrestling game, which kind of plays more like a fighting game, much like your Saturday Night Slam Masters. It was called Fire Suplex in Japan, by the way. It had 10 characters. I'll go through the list of characters and who they ripped off for these. So you had Terry Rogers, which is your main protagonist in the game. He's Mr. USA. He is modeled after, and he's inspired by Terry Funk. In terms of Japanese culture, if you're gonna have an American, you're gonna name him Terry something. That's a theme you see throughout. So that's how big Terry Funk was over there. He had a Blues Hablan. That's the name, and he was modeled after Abdul the Butcher. So you have your Terry Funk and Abdul the Butcher.
Is his name an anagram for Abdullah? Because it looks like it is.
It possibly could be. It looks that way. But who knows? It's Japan.
Yeah.
You had Roy Wilson, who is your Bruiser Brody ripoff. Because you got to have one of those in there, of course. You have Leo Bradley, who is not necessarily modeled after anybody. So, but he's a hardcore wrestler. You had my favorite wrestler in the game, the Red Dragon, who is modeled after the Great Muta.
Okay, he's not modeled after the Great Muta. He is the Great Muta. Like
he is the Great Muta. Yes.
There's not even like a passing resemblance. Like it is just the Great Muta. Like they weren't even trying to hide that.
Nope, not at all. You had the Gochak Big Bomb, who they claim was modeled after the Bushwhackers. So that's interesting.
He looks like Luchasaurus, except for fat.
You have Gondara. He's another wrestler that's not necessarily modeled after anybody. He's an Indian fellow from India, so that's interesting. You have Blubberman, who is the babyface equivalent, or I guess palette swap of Blues Habler. So that's interesting. I guess they ran out of space there, and had to double up some of these guys. He had a
He's big enough for 2 characters.
Sure is. You had Master Barnes, who's a mix between Dick Virge and the Road Warriors. Who believe he's the final boss of the game, which we'll get into how far I got in this game, because it wasn't very far. And you have Big Bombera, who is the swap out for Gochak Big Bomb. So you had a couple of guys that were swapped out, depending if you're a babyface or heel. This game, overall, looks fantastic. First and foremost, it looks really good. Music's okay, not the best. There's nothing on it that's necessarily memorable in terms of the sound. It's just an okay soundtrack for the time. Again, this is 1993. Like I said, the graphics are fantastic. The biggest problem with this game is how difficult it is. It is stupid hard. Like, ridiculously hard. I'm a Nintendo kid, for Christ's sake. So, like, hard games don't really faze me. Like, your Mega Mans and your Metroids and your Castlevanias, okay. This game is ridiculous. To the point where you're trying to do anything you can, no matter how cheap, or, like, you're just trying to get a win here by any means necessary. Regardless, that you're not even trying to look cool, you're not even trying to pull off fantastic maneuvers. You're just trying to survive. Because this game will beat the shit out of you. Most people, your average gamer, is probably not making it past the second level. I think most gamers won't make it past the third. And that's how hard it is. And there's supposed to be a level of difficulty here due to the fact that it's an arcade game and it's designed to eat up as many quarters as humanly possible. But it hurts the game. This is one of the reasons why this game is considered an all-time classic, because you're not getting very far in it. Now, it does take place in, like, that Art of Fighting, King of Fighters, like, world, much like how, like, Street Fighter and Slam Masters kind of take place in the same kind of universe. This game takes place in that particular SNK universe, which is interesting. Again, it came out the same year as Slam Masters, so, again, there's a lot of similarities. I would say that 3 Count Bout probably looks a little bit better in terms of graphics. The sprites are very large. Everything looks excellent. What's cool about this game is that it has different environments throughout the game. So, like, one takes place in a ring, another one takes place in a warehouse, another one takes place in a ring with, like, electrified ropes and shit. So that's interesting, and it gives you a little bit of replay value. But the fact of the matter is that the game is stupid hard. The AI is insanely aggressive and cheap. And you're not going to make it very far. Again, the controls, they can be a little stiff, which probably hurts the gameplay as well. It's not as fluid as you would like, and you have a hard time doing what you need to do to win. The grappling system is not necessarily the best. You have a hard time accomplishing moves, and the fact that the AI, the computer, is so aggressive and so cheap that you're going to have a difficult time getting anywhere in this game at all. Like, you can't make it that far. And I think it hurts the game overall. So that's what prevents this game from being a classic, because graphically speaking, it's fucking off the charts. But you're not going to make it very far unless you're an insanely good gamer, or you play the game enough where you can finally get through it. And who has that time, for Christ's sakes? So, Luke, what are your thoughts on 3 Count Bout?
I think the coolest game was the ring announcer, because he actually says and the way that he does stuff, it just sounds really good, kind of like a unique thing. But I think Saturday Night Slam Masters is probably superior to this. It just seems like SNK and Capcom were like competing. It just seemed like for some whatever reason Capcom always beat SNK at their game, or SNK just failed to beat Capcom at the same game. I'm not sure, but the game is really, really hard for one, and it's not like hard in the like a wrestling game. It's hard in the sense of like a fighting game. So you're not beat that third guy you face, just like you're not going to beat whoever fight in the third fight of Street Fighter 2 unless you're really, really good at the game. But it's also not easy in the sense that I guess the control scheme is not, it's not logical. It's like a fighting game, but you don't really have any moves. But you can like climb up on the rope and like do all that stuff, but you're just at a certain point, you're just kind of like spamming and hoping to God you don't get murdered. As the game progresses, like it's not even worth it to lock up because they're just going to beat you every time.
Yeah.
So, this skill level, it just skyrockets out of the world. That's the biggest problem that I think SNK had, was they never understood that because you can port something from the arcade doesn't mean it's going to be fun. So, could I play this game in the arcade? Yeah, sure. I'll put like 50 cents in and play until I lose. Am I going to play again? Probably not. Am I going to buy this stupid, crazy, expensive console and play this game? No, because I'm going to constantly lose. So once I lose too, there's no way for me to continue. And there's not really any benefit in winning. I mean, I guess when you finally win it, you get the little title. But it's kind of it's very anti. So I don't know. It just doesn't have the payoff that some of the other games have, especially like Capcom games. So that was the fun part of beating Street Fighter and playing it with everybody, is you could see their little special ending. But it has the same ending for this. So really hard game. It looks really. I think that artistic style really holds up. That sprite kind of like ultra cartoony realism that those games, the Capcom and those games have. As far as like game, it doesn't, because it's too difficult. It's to the point where it's not even challenging, like you said. It's just hard for the sake of being hard because it wants to take my quarters, which is fine in the arcade. Oh, I'm playing it at home. It just pisses me off.
Yeah, so, it's ridiculous. It's so over the top hard. Like, and it goes from like 0 to 60 real fast. Like you're like, oh, you're not even ready for it. It's not even a progression. It's way over the top.
And it's not like there's anything that you can do. So like even in like a fighting game, you get your guy and you should become really good with him. Yeah. There's not really that in this game. Everybody has different moves and they're unique, but they're not like unique where there's like strengths or weaknesses. It's just you're always like it gets to a point where you're just suddenly weaker than the computer. So, you might be able. It's very difficult, like to beat it on the normal difficulty. So you're playing on easy, and even then it's not easy. So I don't know. I think that's the biggest held it back, was people just had a certain expectation for games, and arcade games are fun, but they're not fun to play at home. And nobody, was it cool to play, like, even Street Fighter or whatever. When I played it at home, it wasn't as hard as it was. And that's why those games became popular, is because you could play it at home and get good with it at home, and you could go play at the arcade, or you could just play it at home and enjoy the game. So, where with SNK, and there's no payoff. Like, if you win the game, that's it. Why would I play? There's no replay value at all, because the game plays the same no matter who or what you are. So you end up fighting yourself in the game too, which is really bizarre. So you can fight. It doesn't make any sense at all.
You gotta have these mirror matches. But this is one of 2 SNK wrestling games. The other wrestling game that came out, and it wasn't until the year 2000, was Big Bang Pro Wrestling. So SNK kind of like, we're probably going to stay away from these wrestling games from here on out. 3 Count Bout wasn't necessarily successful. We're going to stick with Art of Fighting and Samurai Showdown and Metal Slug, which they're still producing to this day. Unfortunately, the wrestling component of their SNK universe has not stood the test of time. And it goes to show you that gameplay trumps all. So no matter how good looking your game is, or how good the sound is, and You look at this game, you think it's going to be fantastic, and it's like, nope, nope, nope. You're not going to like this. And it goes to show you like how this game is not an all-time classic versus Saturday Night Slam Masters, which is considered by a lot of people like in the top 10 wrestling games of all time, even though that's more of an arcadey kind of fighter. But people do enjoy the cast of characters in Slam Masters, where no one's cosplaying as Terry Rogers, but they will be cosplaying as El Condor or as Mike Hagar.
Do you think that Mike Hagar is the inspiration for Kingsley because he went from being a professional wrestler to mayor of a town? Do you think that?
Oh, 1,000%. Hey, Mike Hagar predates Jesse Ventura.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So
yeah, Mike Hagar he's a trailblazer. Capcom, probably because Inoki's like a senator, or was.
Yeah, before that. So yeah, Inoki predates that for sure. But that's probably where they got the idea from, was from Inoki, and then you put that in the game. To me, I wish someone would go back and kind of fix the difficulty of this game, and maybe go back and hack this game a little bit to make it a bit more user friendly, because it looks beautiful. For sure, It's a beautiful looking game, and it's disappointing that you start playing this beautiful game and it's like, oh, this game is not good. For the most part, guys, I would not be recommending this game. It's good to check out, maybe on a MAME emulator or whatever. The Neo Geo as a console is an interesting anomaly in terms of video game consoles and systems. Just because it did have good games on it, it was graphically fantastic. All the games look really, really good. Was that successful because of their super high price points? You're talking, $5.99 to $6.49 in 1993. That's very expensive, and no one I knew had a Neo Geo. I certainly wasn't going to buy a Neo Geo, and I think it hurt their potential console sales. So if they were able to figure out a way to drop that price a little bit, even if they had a price drop, even if they were like at a $199 price level, the fact that you only have first-party games on the system is going to hurt it too. Because if you're going to invest in the system, you want to be able to play all your favorites. So yeah, Nintendo and Sega had exclusives. So you had your Marios and your Sonics and whatever. But when it came down to the Genesis and Super Nintendo, there was a lot of games you could play on either or. And I think that's one of the reasons the Neo Geo didn't fare necessarily all that well. That, and of course the price point, and the flood of systems that were coming out at the time. So Neo Geo comes out, you get the Sega CD comes out around the same time. You also have like the Atari Jaguar and some of your other fringe simple. I think the Apple Pippin comes out around this time as well, which was awful. It's the reason why Apple will never ever do another video game console, no matter how big they get, because of the Pippin. That's ridiculous. I've been trying to get me a Pippin for a while just to play it, but no luck. So I guess in closing, 3 Count Bout, beautiful game. Don't ever play it if you want some sanity, because you're not going to be playing it for very long.
Oh, you can buy the games on Xbox One, like the store and the PlayStation store too. So you can, if you really want to buy this game and feel some deep childhood, like you're actually at the arcade, you can buy it on there too. It's available with other SNK titles.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a gamer that's really looking for a challenge, this is a game for you. Although the challenge is not fair. So, if you're like someone who likes to get frustrated, like someone throw their controller against the wall, then this is the game for you. For the rest of us, we'll probably end up going back to Slam Masters. All right, guys. So we are officially out of time. So for Luke Martin, I'm Alex G. Have a good night.